when I was a kid, I loved the show The ATeam. And in every episode that was on the ATeam, they'd go and they'd build some stuff, they'd come up with some elaborate plan, and one character would finish most episodes by saying, I love it when a plan comes together. And I love it when a plan comes together. I'm a planner. I didn't play many sports in growing up because sports were unpredictable. You didn't know what was going to happen. I did theater. They would go and they'd set up chairs for me, and you would go to rehearsal, and they would tell you where you would stand and where you would sit, and they would actually give you the words to say, and that was my level of involvement. I loved it. And I planned myself my life. I got out my permanent marker and I figured you get involved, you do the theater stuff, you do the leadership stuff, you do your homework, you do well in class, you get a scholarship, you go to college, you meet a girl, you get engaged, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you get the house, and things are great. And that's my plan. And it worked with some of the academic stuff, and it worked a little bit with the theater stuff, but I felt like I was the kid that on the day when they explained relationships, I was absent. I tried to figure out how all my friends figured out this relationship deal and how they could date, and I wasn't good at it. So I planned. I prepared. I figured if you have a plan, it'll work out great. So when I was in middle school, I knew we'd have the big dance, and I thought I could impress the girls with my dance moves on the dance floor. And I'd spend 2.5 weeks practicing. And the first big dance hit, and I showed up on the dance floor, and a dance circle formed, and I was like, this is my chance. And I ran out there, and I started dancing, and then I went, and my choice was to do a handstand, which didn't work well because I'm not good at a handstand, and I fell out of it, and I accidentally kicked a guy in the face. And the only thing that people were impressed with for the rest of the dance was how quickly I could run away from that guy and his group of friends who were trying to kick my butt. So I recognized that athletics wasn't my thing and dancing wasn't my thing. And when I entered high school, I thought, I'll use the theater and I'll be a romantic. So I figured the way I could impress a girl would be to memorize the very, very first thing that Romeo said to Juliet. Because in my brain, I thought at some point in time, I'll be able to grab a girl's hand and say, if I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. My lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. And that works well in a brain, but it does not work in reality. And most people are like, that's neat. When are you going to do that? And I was like, I don't know. And it didn't work. And my other thought was like, I'll just ask a girl out on a date. But I was nervous about this. And so my plan for the way to ask a girl out on a date was if I was interested in a girl, I would get a buddy of mine from another school to come to an event where that girl and her friend would be present. And then we would use the excuse that my buddy was interested in this girl, and this girl would have to get her girl to go on a double date with all of us. And I did that more than once. And it doesn't work. And I think the problem is that overall I was just really nervous. Like, I wasn't good at this. I wasn't successful at this. And it scared me to death, this idea of dating and kissing. Like, that made me sick to my stomach. When people said, what are you most afraid of in the world? I'd say, sharks. But it was really kissing. On more than one occasion, I'd be out at an event with friends, a school dance, or a dinner with a girl, and I'd have to excuse myself to go to the bathroom because I would throw up because I was so nervous. And that was my reality. Eventually I go, and in my sophomore year, I finally have my first kiss, and I got set up with this blind date with this girl for this winter dance, and it worked out okay, and we'd gone on a few more dances, dates, not dances. And we went on this one date, we did dinner and a movie, and I didn't throw up, and I was like, this is a good sign. And she drives me back to my parents' house, and we're sitting in her car in January. And I recognize that the date is coming to a close, and I should probably kiss her. But we're listening to some music, and she's got the car heater on. I begin to sweat. I don't know if it's the heat or just my nerves, and I'm wearing winter gear, which isn't helping, and we're chatting, and after an hour of sitting in the driveway of my parents' house, she says, what are you thinking? And I say, thinking about how much I'd like to kiss you. She goes, you should. So I lean over, and I think technically we had a kiss because our lips touched, but it was more like a lip high five. It's like the briefest kiss in the world, and I go, thank you, and I promptly exit the car, and I walk into my parents' house, and I go and I enter the bathroom, and I splash some water in my face, and I go, what was that? And what it was my last date with that girl, because we both agreed that that was not going to be a good situation for us. And I was so bad at it that I didn't kiss another girl for years. Finally go, and it's my senior year of college, and my timeline of my master plan that I wrote in permanent marker is not working out. because I'm supposed to be with a girl I'm about to get engaged to because graduation's just around the corner. And I go and I go on a few dates with this one girl, and I figure, like, I'm going to be romantic. Like, I will combine my fear of kissing with my ability to create horrible plans. And she's got a double major, and she's getting a degree in education and sign language. And so I get some books on sign language, and I teach myself what I believe is, may I kiss you? And the sign language alphabet. So one night we have dinner. Dinner comes to a close, and she says, what are you thinking? And I sign, may I kiss you? Or at least I think what may I kiss you is in sign language. And she looks at me kind of confused and do it again. She's confused, and then she sees, and she figures out what I'm asking, and so she signs back. And what would have been a good part of the plan would be to know what some potential responses would be. But I don't know any of this, and so she recognizes I don't, so she starts to spell, and she goes, N-O. And what she signs out was, not yet. But what I stuck with was the N-O. And I didn't kiss her. And I graduated from college, and the timeline was not working out, and the master plan wasn't working out, and my friends were like, it'll happen for you one day, and they were saying not yet, but what I saw was N-O, because I went and I saw my friends go, and I saw my friends have relationships, and I attended my friends' weddings, and I saw my friends go and have kids, and I saw my friends go and get houses, and I was like, why do they get my master plan? I wrote it in permanent marker a long time ago. Why is it N-O for me? I was like, this isn't working. It's the script. I'm following the stage directions. Come on. And I'm at my sister's wedding, my baby sister, and I see how in love she is with her husband. I'm 30 years old, still single. And I'm like, gotta hop on stage one more time. So I signed up for Match.com. And at first, it's great because you can set up a plan. Like, I'm on my computer, I'm like, I want females between these heights, and they will have these things that will live in this proximity to me. And I'm like, this is an organized plan. This is awesome. And I go and I'm like, I will message 5 women a day, and I will go and active, and I pay for them to write my profile to make me sound awesome. And I'm like, I'm going to post a picture of me being athletic, which is not true. But I go and I do all this, and I go on a series of bad dates. Because I want to go and I want to talk about the fact that I like Harry Potter. And the ladies I'm going on dates with want to know if I collect art. No. And my subscription's just about to run out. And this one profile kept on popping up. It was this one girl, and I was like, I can't go out with her because she went to the rival university. She is a Slytherin, and I'm a Gryffindor, and that's not going to match. And if you think it is, you take your parcel tongue, you go elsewhere, all right? But I figure, you know what, like, these other ones haven't worked out. Let's try this. And we go on a date, and we meet at a Starbucks, and I don't greet her with Shakespeare. I say, hi, I'm Patrick. What do you want to order? And we go on a walk, and we actually talk about Harry Potter, and it's fun, and we sit on a park bench, and it's great. We want to go out again, and so we go on a second date, and I feel myself coming down with a cold, but I don't want the date to end, and I don't want her to think I don't like her, and so after eating sushi, we stand in the parking lot in the cold for an hour, and I don't do anything, sort of give her an awkward high five, but she wants to go out again. And I actually get that head cold, and I have to cancel our third date, and it's not working out. But that night we text. We finally go on this third date, and I plan to look at these Christmas lights, and we're sitting down drinking some hot chocolate afterwards, and we think it's the appropriate time to share our last names. And they're both spelled differently than they sound. And I say, my last name is Maurer, rhymes with flower. She says, my last name is Edding, it rhymes with wedding. And I still don't kiss her that night. And she says, let's go on another date. And we go on this fourth date, and she says, I want to plan this one. So she is literally in the driver's seat of this date. And we go ice skating, and it's great. And I want to continue going on this date. And she says, do you want to get dinner? I go, yes. And we go to dinner, and she says, I want to see this movie. And I say, I do too. But it's 3 hours later. And so we sit and we talk, and it's great. And we drive back finally to our car about 8 hours later. We had met at a coffee shop, and we're sitting in her car. She's got the heater cranked up. And she says, we're listening to some music, and I see my car right next to hers, and she says, what are you thinking? I go, thinking about how much I'd like to kiss you. And she says, you should. So I lean over and I kiss her, and the music stops. Literally, her car battery dies. And now I'm like, what do I do now? Because that's like, what's the script here? Because I thought we just kissed and the things were great. And I'm like, and my phone battery's dead and her phone battery's dead. And I know that I've got jumper cables in my car, but I'm like, how do you connect everything? And so we're standing out in the parking lot and a police officer pulls someone over. I'm like, yes. And so I go and I'm like, hello, like raise my hand. I'm here in class. And he says, you do this, this, and this. Make sure you connect this. And he gets a call and he can't give me one of the last tips. And so I connect up our cars and I say, just make sure you don't connect the cables together. And she goes, okay. And she says that she brushed her hair aside. But what happened was she connected the cables and sparks exploded. And I said, I know that there's a spark between us, but let's not make it quite so literal at first. And she says, that's okay. I'm going to tell my friends that you jumped me. And that was the first night that I kissed my wife. And it's been 6 years, and my plan that was written in permanent marker is now written in pencil. And there's been ups and downs and twists and turns and happy days and sad days. And it's been crazy, and it's still amazing. And it's Tuesday this week, and I'm sitting down once again. My wife is on this table. This doctor comes in, she puts a device up to my wife's belly, and she says, that's your daughter's heartbeat. And I'm going to be a dad. And I can prepare a few things for my daughter. I can get a diaper backpack, and I can go and plan a few things, but I don't know when her heart's going to get broken. And I don't know if she's going to make a sports team or if she's going to be in a music or comic books or video games, and if she's going to want to go and join student council, or if she's going to want to go and find the cure for whatever. I don't know any of this about her. She's still in my wife's belly. And I can't write a plan in permanent marker. The only plan I can have, the only script I have is not set in stone. It's just a promise. I promise my wife I'm going to love her. I promise my daughter I'm going to love her. I'm going to promise to do my best in this crazy story we have that we get to call life. Thank you.